What would you do if you suddenly couldn't see your period anymore after being able to see it for years?
Well, personally, I'd be quite worried because I don't have periods.
Well, yes, darling.
I'd be like, should see a doctor.
Yes, darling. Yes. I love how you come out in solidarity of me and my wombage.
Woomage.
By having a red jumper, t-shirt.
Well,
have you got a red jumper or t-shirt?
It's actually maroon in real life, but on the visual feed, go watch us on YouTube, guys, if you're not already doing so. It looks kind of orange.
So today we're going to talk about my period, how Ollie helps me with my period, and does he help me all the time? Is it my sister? Other ways of me tracking and being able to be independent with it and not, and having a carer to look at some of the different things within my life as a blind person and how I've come to terms with that. This is a bonus episode of our podcast. We like to do these now and again, quite frequently, because you guys seem to be really enjoying them, where me and Ollie deep dive into our personal everyday lives as an interabled couple, chatting about really personal topics. So we've done kids, and we've also done, Oliver,
our wedding story.
We have, well our relationship
how we got
story.
together.
Yeah. So buckle up. We hope you enjoy this one about my vagina.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, shall we roll the intro?
Roll the intro. This is But I'd Never Marry a Blind Woman,
A show where we answer all the questions you are too afraid to ask about dating, marriage, and finding love with a disability.
I'm Lucy Edwards Cave, presenter, author of my soon-to-be published book, really soon, Blind Not Broken, and blind wife of...
Me, Ollie Edwards Cave, her sighted husband and the man usually behind the camera.
Every week on this podcast, we,
your favourite interabled couple,
are going to debunk the stereotypes of dating with a disability, dive behind the inspiration porn headlines, and unpack your relationship dilemmas.
So when people say,
but I'd never marry a blind woman,
you can answer,
well, I would.
But I'd never marry a blind woman.
Remember that very first moment that I had my period. I was 11 years old and I was a sighted young girl. I actually had just lost the eyesight in one of my eyes. And a fun fact that you might not know about me, although I have done videos about this in the past, so you might want to check those, / if you have just known about me via this podcast, I will go through it again. So basically, I had a lot of trouble when I had my period each time of the month when I was a visually impaired young girl. Every time my womb bled, then my eyesight kind of went a bit weird and dodgy, and the back of my eyes bled as well. Currently, there is no real research behind incontinenti pigmenti, my eyesight condition, and the causal link between that and my hormones and time of the month. But when I went on the pill, it did help me.
Well, it's to do with blood pressure, isn't it?
It is. And I think now that I'm older and I don't have the sight loss to deal with because I'm totally blind, it is a different kind of headspace that I'm in navigating my period as a 28-year-old. I think I used to not like my time of the month, not understand whether it would make me have less vision that month. And I actually talk a lot in my book, Blind Not Broken, about how I feel about that for the very first time. I don't think I've ever spoken about that moment that I felt the most low in my life about it. And that was when I was like 11 years old. So please do, if you haven't already, pre-order my book, because I would love you to just read it.
When's it coming out, Liz?
On the 28th of March. I'm so excited, Ollie Bobs. And it's got first-hand accounts of Ollie and my mom and dad and sister, and they're all just a beautiful bunch, and they all read it on the audiobook as well as me. And I don't know, it's so lovely and heartwarming, and I talk about my period in there, but in more detail. But I think just zooming ahead to like how I see myself now and how Ollie cares for me now, it's a lot differently, right?
Yeah,
we're going to talk about the carer perspective and also my perspective. So for you, starting off, like as my period approaches, we kind of we log it together,
Well,
right?
we've been noting it down like every time, like when it starts spotting, and then like when you start to get like, because Apple has its like little health app, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Within it, and you can log things, so you can say, oh, I've got tender breasts,
Yes.
otherwise known as, what do you call it, Lee? What do you call them?
Rock tits.
Rock tits.
The dogs are coming in with Mad's half hour. They're like, oh my gosh, hormones! Yeah!
So yeah, we log when you've
Doggies
got,
have hormones too. Sorry, there's like 4 dogs in here, so if you can.
yeah.
It's Missy Mabes. Missy Mabes is the youngest. That's my mom's dog. She's a little border collie. And then we've also got Alice's dog in here, who's Otis, the border collie. He's like 7 now, is he out?
Yeah.
And then we've got my current guide dog, Molly, who's 4. And then Ol goes in the corner, probably resting, being
She's
like,
trying to
leave me
sleep.
alone. I knew that, not even having to see them. What do you think? So I can log that and you can log that. We both log it together, but it's really cool because it's accessible as well on Apple.
Yeah, it's easy enough. Like you just literally just go in. You can use VoiceOver.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if you can use Siri. We've never actually tried it.
No, we haven't, but we so should.
But you log it as we're approaching, and also I know when you're approaching your period as well because you get a bit grumpy. Mate,
Can you see how he preceded that with caution to that statement?
it's quite scary. I'm not saying this as a like, oh, you're just men, but you get like on the week leading up to your
I
period, you
do.
get so grumpy.
I do, and
You're
I think-
so snappy.
Can I say though, I just get so angry on my period. Like it's
Well,
just such
it's
a
not-
turmoil within my being that I'm just like.
Well, it's not when you're actually on your period. Once you got your period, you're like, life is good. Ah. But until that moment, you're like, Ollie, is that spoon on the top of the counter? If you don't move it in 5 seconds, this spoon will be through your head.
Well, I do.
Maybe
I've
not
never
quite
said
that. Maybe
I've
not
never
quite that
said
violent.
that. I have never said that to you. If that is in your head, I am really sorry. It sounds so violent.
You're never
your
that
mind.
never that violent, but like you
Oh my gosh.
you get a little bit angrier.
I get aggy, but the thing is that I am more frequently these days not able to tell when I'm spotting as much.
Yeah, it's
It's
usually
always you, isn't it?
You sort
that's
of like-
telling me.
well when you start getting towards like sort of when you start feeling that little bit of grumpiness, you start putting panty liners
I
in.
do. I
You
do.
kind of don't want to risk it.
No, for a chocolate biscuit. So then I just kind of ask Ollie when it comes about 7 days before, I'd say, because I never know. I kind of ask you most days around
Yeah.
there, don't I?
Like you just go, Ollie, I'm like
I'm on the loo.
I'm
you
on
come
the loo,
check.
check, yeah, and then like I just come in, go no, and wander
Yeah,
out.
I wander out, exactly. So it's very like, I don't know, we put our mind into a different gear about it. Do you find it gross?
No, it's just there. It's natural bodily function. Like there's nothing wrong with it. It's just there.
Yeah. It's
like-
so true.
And it's not like I'm like inspecting it for like long amounts of time. I literally wander in and
true.
go, is there anything? No, cool, bye.
Yeah, it's true. It's so lovely that you see it like that though, because I think if you saw it in any other way, it'd probably make me feel a bit bad.
Yeah, well, that would be silly anyway. Like
Yeah.
there's no point getting cat over it. Like it is
Getting what over it?
het up over it.
Yeah.
It's just
Getting cat over it? I thought
getting
you
cat
said.
over it. What does that even mean?
I don't even know. This is what I was trying to question in my motives. Yeah, no, I agree. I think having my period is quite a moment. I always think about my blindness around my periods as well, because I think that's what I always did as a young girl anyway. So I do tend to feel a bit lower about my blindness.
Yeah,
Then.
particularly when you first went blind, like because for anyone who doesn't know, me and Lucy have been together the entire time Lucy's been blind, and we actually started going out when Lucy was sighted.
Uh-huh.
So like you went through those hard times. Particularly, there's that one instance of you in a drama class.
Yes, but I talk about that in my book.
You
I think.
do, but you can give the people a sneak preview.
So the kind of long and short of it is that I was wearing white trousers and I ran out and I was like, Nan, could you pick me up? So Nan picked me up and I said, Nan, do my trousers look like I've like bled through them? And she said no. And then, yeah, I think there was a few times that I did that.
Yeah, I think
She
there
either
was
said
another
no-
time
she
where
either
you were
said
wearing
no
like.
that time, or
There was one time
maybe-
you were wearing black, and it did happen, but it wasn't like so noticeable.
Yeah, maybe she didn't. Maybe I did bleed through that one time. I don't know. I recall it better in my book because I sat down and really thought about like casting my mind back to that moment. But I think there were several times where that happened in my younger years, and then I just thought, oh my gosh, like this is just something I can't control anymore. And I got really, really like annoyed at my body because it was like another thing that
you kind of
feels foreign to me in my own body, like another thing that I have to deal with.
Well, you tried to control it for a bit using the pill, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Because
So
it
like,
obviously brings regulation.
yeah, so I would just be like, right, no one else is helping me. I'm just going to have the pill. And then for those, like however many, I think it was like 7 days that I'd be off it, I'd know that it was coming, put panty liners and period pads in at that time. And then I would just go back on the pill and then I'd take them out. So that was okay for a time. But I think now, I don't know, like, I just don't care. I just don't mind asking you.
Yeah.
You just like me.
As you've got more
All good.
confident, like as with your blindness, as you've got older, you have been, in some ways, less afraid to ask about things. You're just like, oh, if I need to find out this piece of information, I would just simply ask you, Ollie.
Yeah, and I think it's made me feel a lot more like open to talk about other things as well. Like, you know, as we get older, we deal with different other things, like, you know, having to take pregnancy tests. So if I pee into a cup, you know, dipping little things in there.
Yeah, and also like when there were the events of 2020,
Yeah, Rona
the big one.
on the world.
Yep.
You were doing my tests.
Yes, well, you'd take them, you'd stick it up your schnoz. Actually, half the time I'd do it for you.
Yeah,
because I
you
was
would.
already in the process of doing them anyway. And then
And then he'd develop it, bless him. Most of the time he did that.
Yeah.
But then some of the time when you went in, I would do it myself and call Be My Eyes because they
Yeah.
had a service as well. So I don't know. Most of the time we did it together though, right?
yeah. And luckily, we got fortunate most of the time.
Yeah. It's so lovely that we can do that. But I think overall, this is just a kind of inspirational word from two people that have been together a long time and aren't kind of, you know, feeling like bodily functions are a taboo anymore. Like if you're going to be with someone and that's going to be an issue and you see period blood and you're like, ew, then it's like, no, you're going to grow old together and you're probably going to have to do like...
There will be like, if you're in a
Poo
long-term
tests
relationship,
and-
there will be all sorts of things as you come across.
Yeah.
Like, and it's probably not just to do with blindness, but like as you have kids, that undoubtedly one of them will poo themselves.
Exactly.
Or-
and you've got to deal with it.
Yeah.
But also, as you grow older, and I don't know, sometimes the doctor asks me, Lucy, is your wee cloudy? If I've got a UTI, urinary tract infection, that is. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I'll ask my husband.
Yeah, we go check. Like,
But I can smell it as well. Like, I know when I've got a UTI. Like, that sounds weird, but I don't know.
no, but there's, it's just fine to check. Like at the end of the day, you're just looking at liquids.
Exactly. I love it that you just see it like that. It's really refreshing. And I know we've chatted about this a bit before on different podcasts, but I think, yeah, ultimately my period was something that I hated for a while and I hate that. But I don't know. I think it's really interesting now going into the next phase of our life and like knowing, you know, looking at pregnancy tests and fertility tests and thinking, wow, like that section of our life isn't accessible. Like, how are we going to tackle that now? You know, when we're like tracking my ovulation on tests and stuff, it's like, oh my gosh, like we're looking at all of those things now and we're like, yeah, that's not accessible either.
Yeah, there's
None of female fertility is accessible to the blind at all. It's such a minefield.
yeah, there's a lot out there that we're yet to discover, and we'll
I'm
keep
just
you
so-
guys updated as we kind of
Yeah.
come across things that we find that are accessible.
I'm so glad that I've got my soulmate because I don't know what I'd do. I'd drown in this kind of world if I didn't have the apps that I have as well. Like I love that I've got Clear Blue on Be My Eyes on the specialised help tab, and you know, AI is coming on, and I do think that even though the pregnancy tests these days aren't too accessible, like I'll be able to take a picture with my app and then know if I myself am pregnant before I then tell Ollie and have the autonomy to be able to do that myself. So yeah, I want to be the one to look at it first before anyone else, and I think everyone has the right to do that. But I think a few years ago I probably wouldn't have had the confidence to do that.
Indeed.
Or there wouldn't have been the facilities. I don't know, like we still had the apps telling us, but it wouldn't be as accurate, I would say.
Yeah,
But they are
like,
now.
as the AI is developing, it's getting a whole lot more impressive.
Yeah, it is. I'm just hoping that there's like an inbuilt one that Clear Blue eventually will come out and it'll just say pregnant and it'll just announce it.
I imagine with, like, if we're going down the Be My AI route with Be My Eyes, I imagine they might eventually merge the two of them.
Exactly. Yeah, hit me up, guys. If you're listening to this podcast, I am available to chat to
Yes.
about all of this and have collaborations. But I have so many more thoughts, feelings, ideas on this that, you know, me and Ollie consult every single day with universal design principles in mind to brands and individuals who want to understand more about blindness in every way. Also because I think we just don't mind any subject is kind of off limits. It's really refreshing to have like just really open convos. So yeah, thank you so much for listening.
Yeah,
We
thank you so
hope
much,
you
guys.
enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe if you're on YouTube, and if you're on YouTube memberships, we have them. Please subscribe as a member and you'll get behind the scenes access to our podcast.
And also, all of them early. As soon as we've edited them and uploaded them, they're up. You can watch them. You'll get them weeks in advance, potentially.
Yeah, potentially. We've definitely done a lot of weeks in advance so far. And if you are listening just with your ear balls,
Your ear balls.
then we are happy that you like to listen to our dulcet tones on wherever you get your podcasts from. Please rate us because we need those ratings.
We do indeed. All right. Thank you very much, guys.
And remember, send your dilemmas to help@lucyedwards.com.
Yes.
We'll see you next week for a new one.
See you next week,
Bye,
guys.
guys.
Bye.